At the Institute for Tribal Environmental Professionals, Tribal Air Monitoring Support Center, we have a variety of QA and QAPP and data validation tools available for you. So just to give you an overview of our general philosophy, over the years we've learned that the best way to provide QA assistance is in the form of online courses and one-on-one professional assistance. We used to offer classroom courses in QAPP writing and QA overviews, but what we found is that writing a QAPP takes a lot of time, and it takes more than one person because there's always more than one person involved in the project. And part of the process of writing a quality assurance project plan is documenting the planning that you and whoever else is involved with or responsible for the project have to go through. So basically it takes at the very minimum weeks, and we found it difficult for people to write an entire QAPP in the course of, say, a 3-day long workshop, because you have to have access not only to the other people involved, but all the materials. You've got instrumentation manuals, you've got maps, you've got historical information about the media or the location or the problem that the project is designed to answer questions about. And all that material is hard to bring to a classroom course. A lot of times you don't know what you need until you start writing your quality assurance project plan. And in some cases you have to get information from an instrument vendor, for example, and that takes time. So over the years, we've learned that the most efficient way for us to provide assistance and training for QA and QAPP writing is to provide an online platform where people can take as long as they want. They could submit as assignments their own QAPP excerpts so that we can work with them one-on-one over time and assist them however they want. Sometimes people are very experienced and they just want to go in and look at several sections of our course because they've swapped out instrumentation or they've changed their procedures somewhat. Sometimes people are starting from scratch and don't know what a QAPP is to start off with. So we provide a variety of online courses and technical tools to assist people with wherever they are and however long it takes them to write the documentation that helps them ensure that whatever they do as part of this project, they are answering the questions effectively. The data or the observations, like mold exists or doesn't exist in which location, for example, that information is essentially data, and you want to make sure that you don't waste your time. One of my earliest experiences in QA came because I worked on a project to measure radon in indoor environments in Pennsylvania. I worked with a team of people from both EPA laboratories, and we thought we had all of our ducks in a row. We thought we had locations ready to make measurements. Well, it turns out that had I completed our QA documentation, we would have known, because I would have checked, that some of the instruments that we were using were out of calibration. And that was a big blow to a big project, including going inside individual people's homes and gathering information. That data was essentially unusable. So don't make that mistake that I made 50 years ago in that project, and start your planning ahead of time. Take your time. It's going to take time to go back and forth between all the people involved to approve your documentation. And don't also feel that your QAPP is final once you get it approved, because especially if you have an ongoing data collection project, your procedures are going to change. Technology, communication is changing. The ability that you have to access your data is going to change over time. So quality assurance project plans are never really done for ongoing projects because you're going to be always slightly modifying them. The most important thing to remember is to simplify your life as much as possible. Have your QAPP list the requirements for your project and your data collection activities, and then write specifics in SOPs, because SOPs are much easier to change, and whatever you do, you have to adhere to those requirements in your QAPP, but you can change your procedures as long as you adhere to those requirements. So we have a variety of tools for people, including the online course QA Fundamentals. We have a QAPP writing course, which is very long because we want to provide a lot of resources for people, no matter whether you're monitoring for air, whether you're monitoring for water, whether you're monitoring for indoor radon, indoor environments. We have a lot of different examples and tools and videos for you explaining the different parts of a QAPP and all the different steps in ensuring that your data are legally defensible. So we've got online QA fundamentals and QAPP writing. In addition, we have several other tools, including an online library of quality-related resources, SOPs, QC checklists, reports that tribal agencies as well as some state and county agencies have generously shared with us for you to use as a starting point for your own documentation. And we also have professional assistance and training in the use of data management tools. So we have CREST, the Quality Review and Exchange System for Tribes, and I'll talk about that. We have the Tribal Data Toolbox, which is a Microsoft Access database specifically designed for air monitoring that helps you review your data, do validation checks of your data, make sure that your data are not exceeding certain limits, all those sorts of checks that you can do in Tribal Data Toolbox as well as CREST, and then export your data in a form that is usable for you, as well as generating AQS formatted data, which is EPA's database that air monitoring data needs to be uploaded to. Our resources also include a QAPP writing tool called TurboQuap. We developed TurboQuap in close collaboration with the QA manager at OAQPS Air Monitoring, who was at that time, but he's since retired, Mike Papp. And the TurboQuap tool is basically a program that opens up forms and you sequentially add your information. And the really great thing about TurboQuap is that it begins with the fundamental question of why are we making these measurements, which is basically the data quality objectives process. So it starts off with element 7 and goes through the 7 steps of the data quality objectives process. And basically you type in your answers and you have then documented the results of your DQO development. And then it leads you through a series of screens. It is designed in terms of the example text for air monitoring QAPPs, specifically for air monitoring done for regulatory purposes to compare your results to the National Ambient Air Quality Standards. But it does have an other category, and an other category for making measurements in the field, and an other category for obtaining measurement results from a laboratory, like when you gather samples and have to ship them. And it is easy to navigate. You can keep your QAPP stored in it and then come back and make modifications and export it as a PDF. We developed it a long time ago with Lakes Environmental. So we told them how to design the software. Right now, it's just no longer financially feasible for Lakes Environmental to support it. So we need funds to migrate it to an open source platform. So similar to the other tools we provide, like CREST, which is the online data streaming portal and analysis system, or Tribal Data Toolbox, which is the database that you install on your computer to manage your air monitoring data. We need to make sure that it's open source so that ITEP then can keep it updated. So right now we can distribute it to you, but it is one measurement quality objectives revision late. Remember, if you're monitoring for air, those measurement quality objectives are what is called the validation tables at the end of the QA Handbook Volume 2, and those validation tables pertain to different instruments, different methods, and we have all that folded into TurboQuap. However, it is one revision late, so we need to do that updating, and we need to migrate it to an open source tool, of which there are now plenty. There weren't 20 years ago, but now we could even develop TurboQuap in Google Docs, for example. So we need to investigate that and obtain funds to make TurboQuap something that we can then maintain and distribute. We do have some training videos on how to use it, and we also have a description of it on our website. So it's still useful if you want to go through and see what information is asked for in every one of the 24 elements. And we do provide that. However, we are looking for funds to migrate it to an open source platform. So that's TurboQuap.